Welcome back, everyone, to the second episode of Love Adapted, the show where we snuggle up with a good book and we talk about how the love translated from page to screen. I'm your host, Alexandra Huerta, and let's dive right in. For today's episode, we're going to be reviewing Heartstopper by Alice Oseman and its 2022 Netflix show adaptation starring Joe Locke and Kit Connor. This story has had a lot of transformations, from starting off as a webcomic on Webtoon to then becoming a published graphic novel and then to a Netflix show and now a movie on Netflix that's coming out next year. This has become a beloved series on Netflix, so has it truly captured the magic of the story, or has it taken it somewhere entirely new? Let's find out now. Heartstopper began as a webcomic in 2016 before becoming a published graphic novel in 2019. The story follows two British teens, the first being Charlie Spring, who is an openly gay student and who develops a crush on Nick Nelson, a popular rugby player. They develop an unlikely friendship after sharing the same homeroom together, and they discover that they might have these evolving feelings for one another. So with the support of their family and their friends, they navigate their relationships as they face challenges such as coming out, bullying, and growing up. The story explores these themes in a very heartwarming and tender way, and we really get to see a close snapshot of Charlie and Nick's relationship. The story unfolds through their internal thoughts and quiet conversations and very sweet moments. The art style adds to the mood of the story through stars and sparkles floating around when emotions are really high. We really get to understand the thoughts and feelings as we get a snapshot of what they're going through in their minds and through all the scenes of them together. I feel like we're looking in their diaries. The Netflix adaptation released its first season in April of 2022. This story stays pretty faithful to Nick and Charlie's romance, even lifting dialogue straight off the panels, and there are nods to the comic's charm with leaves and sparks floating across the viewer's screen. However, Netflix expands the world, giving secondary characters such as Tao, Elle, Darcy, and Tara their own unique storylines. This show adds entire events that are not included in the comics at all, such as sports day, prom, Elle applying to art college, Tao's dance moments, Darcy's home life struggles, and so much more. And this really lifts up the series and the story of Heartstopper to be more than just about Nick and Charlie's love story, but about an entire coming-of-age series. I also love a near-perfect adaptation because they had Alice Oseman even make cameos through her art, and they worked with her very closely, like her being on set and giving direction to the actors and transforming the story from the comics into the show is just so incredible. And working directly with the author, to me, is a really green flag because they care about the blueprint, and that makes me really excited to see. So I loved seeing it. It was nearly perfect to everything in the comics, and I think that they didn't really remove as much, whereas they added more, and I love getting to see that. So let's discuss some of the differences in Heartstopper from the show and the comics. Like, what is different? What do we see? What do we don't see? Because sometimes we see a lot in shows or movie adaptations that moments are taken from the books and we're really sad to not be able to see them. But I think this is a really unique situation where the show adds more than it removes. And I love getting to see that. So let's talk about some of the differences. The first is Nick and Charlie's journey. In the comics, their relationship feels like a steady heartbeat and it's slow and thoughtful, whereas the show speeds things up a tad. And in the show, Charlie quits rugby, which he never does in the comics. This choice really challenges how we see Charlie's growth. Another difference is Ben's arc. Ben is Charlie's ex-boyfriend who doesn't treat him very nicely at all, and so we get to see Charlie leaving him and growing into a new and better relationship with Charlie. But before we get there, we have Ben. In the comics, Ben fades out pretty quickly after the party, but in the show, he sticks around a lot longer, even going on the school trips. We'll see him in the hallways, texting him more. There are even dramatic confrontations where Charlie tells him off, which for me, I'm like, yeah, Charlie, do it, stand up for yourself. This doesn't happen in the comics though. It's a change that makes sense because for television, they want more tension and closure, removing these plot holes of okay, these people just evaporate in dust once we're done with them. If you didn't read the comics, you didn't notice it, but I think it's a pretty big change because we're removing a whole family member. If you didn't know, in the show, we have Tori and we have Charlie, the two Spring siblings. However, in the comic, there's a third. His name is Oliver. He's the younger brother. They completely removed him out of the show, and this could be because of the abundance of characters, but it's also really difficult casting younger kids in shows, so I could probably understand that, but it is sad to see him go. He was a cute little character, he's a little baby. The final difference that we're going to be discussing is the friend group. Tal and Elle's storyline is way more developed in the show than it is in the comics. Elle applies to art college, Tal struggles with feeling left behind, and we even get the sweet movie night scene. And for Tara and Darcy, they shine more as we navigate their personal issues of coming out, facing backlash, family troubles, and this show dives so much deeper, and the comics include swearing and depictions of self-harm, but the Netflix series deliberately softens those elements to keep the tone lighter and more accessible to younger audiences. So which version tells the story better? Honestly, I had a really hard time choosing this because the comics have such that raw emotion, and we get to understand their internal thoughts and feelings and the why to their actions, that it truly hits harder in our hearts as we're watching them go through their highs and lows. But we really have like a hyper focus on Nick and Charlie's romance, and it doesn't really expand on anything beyond that. And so when the show came out, I really loved getting to see these extended, unique storylines for each of the friend group. So going back to the comics, I think for that I give the comics a 6 out of 10 because I really would like a more extensive explanation and like more scenes of their relationship evolving rather than just their inner thoughts and feelings. And I want more from the surrounding characters around them because in the show you fall in love with them. They go through very pivotal moments like prom and applying for colleges and, you know, what's life like after high school and where does our romance go from there. And we get to see so many different kinds of romances, and I love seeing love, and I love seeing a giant friend group who are so supportive and they're so dynamic, and for that I give the show an 8 out of 10. I truly love it, and the actors, Kit Connor and Joe Locke, truly do so incredible, and I love getting to watch these stories come to life. And that is the end of this week's chapter of Love Adapted. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, let me know in the comments below. Are you team comic or you team show? Or maybe you're like me and you love both for different reasons. I can't choose. But do not forget to subscribe and share with your favorite bookworms. You're going to want to come back next week because we're going to be talking about a story of 3 best friends in South Carolina. And did you guess it yet? It's Sweet Magnolias by Cheryl Wood. You won't want to miss it. And until then, keep your hearts open and your bookmarks ready. Bye!